Hashtag how to run for Polemarch.
Lecture 11, April 13th. The knowledge of our philosophy. As the only thing worse than government is a lack of government, we can't act like achievement in every field of human endeavor shouldn't be honorable. And so, we are governed by honor in a race to achieve where in doing so, we inspire service in the public interest. Our objectives give us a foundation where we can do more together than apart, as we wouldn't be us, if it were otherwise. Not that we would be nobodies if it weren't for Kappa, because many are called but only few chosen, but exceptional men uniting under the umbrella of our national fraternity can only lead to greater achievement. We all have reached a point in our lives where we think ourselves above paying one tax or another, but dues are not taxes, however an admission to associate with men equal to or greater than oneself. As association surely raises one's standard of living closer to the average, paying dues should be done so happily as the reward is that much greater. We can't as readily direct a body with the right information necessary to achieve without collecting dues for the administration and distribution of said information. Credit for collective successes, though taken by all, are documented by the administration, adding consequently to the Polemarch's legacy and subsequently to the bodies. To say those who paid their dues are somehow better than those who hadn't isn't necessarily true, but it isn't false either. As knowledge of our philosophy encourages continued participation, the Grand Chapter divides its jurisdiction into provinces under which chapters function and form, but being first is circumstantial while being best is a contribution to quality we owe to our training for leadership. The knowledge of our fraternity is paramount in this race of ours to achieve, as the comprehension of its magnitude is broken into provinces overseen by our grand administration. Who amongst us is not humbled upon mention of Diggs or the founders, and proud that our acceptance in the fraternity led us to be associated with such men in history? As we can only live for ourselves, and as we don't pray for the Lord's benefit but our own, we also associate with the fraternity for our benefit. Direction from the fraternity's administration points us to a Polemarch where theoretically, although any may do, we are categorized through our educational institutions or the cities in which we live. Some gravitate towards colors, others administration, and yet many to our style, but we owe individual our success at least partially to the founders and the fraternity we love. We love the bond either because filled with knowledge about the fraternity it is all we know, or distance away from or close to the fraternity pulls us to our age-old fundamental purpose. For over 100 years we have used the same pattern to achievement. Uniting college men, encouraging honorable achievement, promoting members' welfare and assisting colleges and universities, we inspire service in the public interest. This formula, invented long ago, sustains us to this day, and we are more than confident that after we have left this earth our fraternity and what we did for Kappa will be appreciated by those who come after. The knowledge of chapters in provinces comes secondary to that of the fraternity, but we can't know the fraternity except through its chapters. Seeing our shield and directed to a Polemarch, we must remember that each chapter has its own subculture within the bond which adheres to the fraternity and its objectives, bringing about a brighter tomorrow. As the closest representative of the fraternity many outside the bond may ever know, promoting a chapter is no different from doing so for the fraternity. But just as individually we should never consider ourselves in higher regard than the bond, neither should a chapter hold itself above the fraternity. We say that because we all must be humbled by something, if only the weather, and pledging the fraternity we have admitted subordination to its logic. A chapter can be equal to but never greater than what it is a part of, where no one knows this more than the Polemarch, whose attention to detail ensures a chapter is in compliance. The brotherhood has a duty at any chapter to adhere to the purpose and objectives, but more so to the chapter with which they are associated. Either out of familiarity or convenience we grow to love chapters in lieu of our grand and provincial administrations due to proximity, but forgetting one's place in the world is unrealistic to a Polemarch. Though a Polemarch may be the head of his administration, following provincial and grand chapter administration is his priority, because without the grand administration's governance, there is no bond. Our race to achievements often leads to firsts in this or that, but knowing first doesn't mean best. We focus on quality, reaping similar results. Founded in the year of our Lord 1911, we don't claim to be the first fraternity in the land, but we do however claim to be the best, if only for us. If not to some people's liking, it is fine, because we only cater to amicable markets who prefer our chapter's style to another's. We have already won with acceptance to the bond, and the knowledge that we are positively distinguished by the fraternity is often good enough, but this arena is for those dedicated to achievement or resting on laurels of days gone by. Sure, some have forgot more than others will ever know, and others have more energy than they know what to do with, but seldom are they one in the same. With knowledge comes understanding, and with understanding comes an ease by which we may impart knowledge on others where quality is an only result. Knowledge of our philosophy encourages continued participation in our grand chapter in a province, as chapters function and form to a certain quality. Being first is never the claim of those better, because unbridled achievement has no glass ceiling, and a Polemarch is the best friend of those who achieve. Being best is a contribution to quality we owe to our unification and training for leadership under the fraternity. With knowledge comes subordination to administration and the reality that dues are expected but not for the fraternity's benefit, as we steer our fate with Kappas.
That concludes the information for this time. Tune into our weekly presentations during this spring semester, Wednesdays from 9:11 a.m. to 10:05 as we learn how to run for Polemarch.